have this knowledge that with the good balance, in order to have a good balance, we need to put in the right food, feed the good bacteria so that the good bacteria overpowers the bad. And if the bad is in charge, then we're going to have problems with our brain function. Because as we know, our guts are in communication with our brains. So feed your gut and you have fed your brain. Your gut is, in other words, your second brain. If you don't know about the details of this concept, you can read the book by Michael Gershon, Second Brain. Human microbiome is, again, the study of the human biome shows us that the pathogens that we have in our gut, unfortunately, have a direct effect on the brain of Parkinsonians and increase the risk of Parkinson's disease developing in those people who have more pathogenic bacteria versus good flora. So we're going to dive more into this concept and find out what to do about it. Microbiome is, again, the total of the good and bad bacteria, flora, and pathogens, and weighs about the size of your human brain. It's about 3.3 pounds. Can you believe it? All of us are carrying that much in our guts and don't even know it, don't even see it. We need 3 times more friendly bacteria than pathogens for a balanced gut to be in existence in our gut. We have to have a good, proper balance of fiber, and the fiber job is to feed the prebiotic. The prebiotics are the fibrous type of cells that go into our gut and they feed the good bacteria. That's called prebiotic. And they're nothing more, nothing less than our high fiber diet. There are things like blueberries. There are things like chia seeds and flaxseed meal. Those are all prebiotics that we have to have in order to feed the good flora, which also produce metabolites. These are the little things that the probiotics make in the process of their daily metabolism and spit it out. When they spit out these metabolites, we, believe it or not, we benefit from them. We have substances called short-chain fatty acids like L-butyrate. That's a little technical, but for those of you who want to know more, you can research L-butyrate. And those are metabolites that are good for overall gut health. And if we don't have enough of those guys, our risk of Parkinson's disease go up. But if we do have a lot of them in our gut and around, the risk of Parkinson's disease and other diseases actually goes down. So the gut and the brain communicate more clearly. So these are important people. So we have a lot of symptoms that are bothersome among us, okay? We have weight loss, we have constipation, we have freezing, we have slow cognitive processing, we have tremors, we have all kinds of things. And I recognize that we don't have a solution yet. We don't have a cure for it. But what we have is things we can do that I've listed on this slide that mitigate these symptoms, such as for people who are losing muscle mass, we need to have more calorie-dense, high-protein foods, that not too much of the sweets that are hollow calories. You're wasting away your calories if you choose cakes and donuts all day long. I know we want to have them, but we have to use measured logic in order to counteract the effects of Parkinson. Treating constipation with hydration, so drinking enough water, but that's not it. We need to have some fiber in our diet. We need to move. A lot of people are sedentary, depending on the stage that they are on in Parkinson's. And those people can move their arms. You can do exercises in your chair. You can hold some weights or cans of food and just do exercises that your PT recommends for you, for your upper arm, upper body. So literally, even people who are in a wheelchair, they could exercise. But for the rest of us, we have no excuse not to get out and go around the park or up and down the street. And the last but not least, that helps this movement, the bowel movement, it's the prone posture in the mornings. Guys, you may have not heard of that, but this is a yoga pose that has always worked for me, and I've always had chronic constipation. So try it before you say it won't work for me. You lie flat on your stomach about 5 minutes before you get up in the morning. And within about 5 to 10 minutes, again, you need to go and empty your bowels. So that is what I would recommend. Slowing down cognitive decline. How do you do that? You achieve that by having omega-3 rich fatty oil and also foods such as salmon, fish, or cod and mackerel and anchovies and sardines. Or if you want to have the vegetarian sources of it, you can have fresh dark vegetables, and those contain the right amount of anti-inflammatory that would help your cognitive decline stop or slow down. Managing tremors and stiffness. We all have some of those, and avocados, fish and fish oils, and coconut oil are on top of my list of the defense against tremors and stiffness. We will all enjoy some of that. And who doesn't like avocado dips? Okay, moving right along. This screen starts talking about the nitty gritty. So the do's of the Parkinson's diet. There is obviously no one size fits all, guys. If you think that we're all alike, think again. We're all different in the manifestation of our disease. So therefore, our constitution needs different foods. For instance, the rheumatoid arthritic patients, they must avoid citrus and nightshades. Nightshades, eggplants, chili peppers, and mushrooms. So those are musts for people who have RAs. You need to eliminate those out of your diet so your joints don't stiffen up on you and freeze on you. And stopping the influx of toxins is a very big thing. We need to focus on not adding more toxins to the already burdened body of ours that have been assaulted by toxins from birth. For instance, fast foods, cosmetics, fungus and yeast, and molds, ammonia, sugars, hormones, heavy metals, pesticides, fluoride in your toothpaste, stress and bad relationships. Yes, I did say that. Stress and bad relationships can turn into toxins in your body. So work on those and be cognizant at least that those things could be going on so that you can simultaneously work on the psychological and emotional and spiritual aspect of your life as well as your dietary and nutritional. So another step that you need to definitely go through before you decide what is your ideal diet is finding first what your nutrition deficiencies are. A lot of people come to me and they want me to do magic and they say, here, I have Parkinson's, what should I eat? Well, we need to really slow down and realize that there are some food allergies that we may have, food intolerances such as gluten and lactose, some nutritional deficiencies. If you've had a lifetime of junk food or even healthy foods, but you have eliminated one or two categories out of your whole diet, you may not be healthy until you gain a full understanding of what a balanced diet really is. You may think that a hamburger is a balanced meal until you find out that there's no vegetable in it, unless it's a veggie burger, of course. So customizing your diet is key. It's the centerpiece of your healing program, and also customizing vitamins. Moving right along. So what do I do? Where do I begin? In my office, I usually do a comprehensive nutrition assessment, and I did that 9 years ago when I started this journey on my Parkinson's healing path. I do a 3-day food log for all of my clients, and that's a simple thing to do. You just write down what you eat and what you drink in 3 days, and you bring it to the office or send it via email. And then clinical observation is very big. I need to know the color of your tongue, whether your nails are splitting or weak and having dryness around, hair, the skin altogether. If you have red blotches, we need to know what the cause of that is. If you have eczema-like skin texture, we need to also know and delve into that, because you may have underlying celiac or underlying skin disorders going on that are related to your diet that has not been addressed. So well, we do a slew of biomedical testing, such as stool, blood, urine, or swab testing to determine whether you have gluten, dairy, or soy intolerances or any other intolerances, as well as allergies. And toxic metal urine tests are a must for all Parkinsonians, in my opinion. If you haven't done them, you need to look into it. They're not expensive. They're a little bit over $100, but you will know for sure if you have toxic metal going on in your liver, deposited from your childhood. And we need to know that so that we can devise a chelation plan, or something more simple than that can be done also via topical type of creams. So it's essential for you to have evidence-based nutrition assessment before you can really devise a customized plan of action. We know what your needs are, we know what your current diet is, so we can fill the gap and we can do the best and most timely diet for you, so you can start healing. All right, the do's of the Parkinson's diet continues. This is my sample of my day. I wanted to show you how my day flows for those of you who want to know how I start my day and what timing the foods have, the meals have that I have between my medication timing. I wake up actually before 8, so it's about 6 to 7 o'clock in the morning when I'm up. But my medication time starts at 8. I have it 3 times a day, so at 8, at 1, and 6 o'clock are my med times. And I have it down pat. So for those of you who have a hard time remembering, you could probably put an alarm on. But between 7 and 8, I usually get myself ready, feed the cat, do whatever I need to do around the house. Then at 8 o'clock, I have my med. Then I take about a half an hour break to let the meds really take effect and go through my circulatory system and attach to the brain receptors where they need to go to get the dopamine going. I stretch, I walk, I bike. I have a stationary bike and I get on it for at least half an hour, 5 to 6 days a week. And that gets me to 9 o'clock when I'm ravenous, of course, and I start eating my breakfast, which is a Mediterranean breakfast. Usually it's some walnuts put on top of my bowl of oatmeal. It could be a avocado over my baguette, my gluten-free baguette, of course, or it could be something like a waffle with a dollop of coconut cream. So who doesn't like that, right? Or some fruits. So I have that at 9 o'clock. So I've let the drug take effect for an hour, and I repeat this cycle again 3 times until nighttime. The thing that I want to emphasize is no matter what time you sleep or what time you wake up, you have to give about 12-hour partial fast to your brain so that your brain can rest. Remember, our brain as Parkinsonians is always inflamed. It has a little too much stimulation. So we need to give it rest so it can slow down and it can disinflame. And that requires about 12 hours of break between the time that you go down at night and when you wake up. Mine are 7 p.m. to 7 a.m. And I don't eat a bite of solid food during those hours because I believe in the digestion taking charge and really doing a good job of giving the body everything that it needs and that we have put into our GI tract all day long. What we eat is as important as how we eat. So the number 6, we're going to cover the soft foods, cooked foods, and small bites of foods that you have the chance to chew and swallow without causing choking hazards. Soft foods, I don't mean soups all day long because we all get tired of the same food. You deserve to have variety. So I mean by that, sticky rice is soft food. So you can still enjoy your rice. You can have stews with a multitude of vegetables and some chicken or turkey. Or you can have broth or soup things of that nature. Pasta dishes are just fine as long as you don't have uh, big chunks of beef in it. Beef is a no-no in my diet, and we'll get to that in a couple of more slides. So those are important for you to remember before you choose a meal. So plan ahead so you don't get stuck with something crunchy that's going to be a choking hazard. Tuck your chin in to help swallowing. That's a trick that a speech pathologist taught me. And last but not least, you need to stick with a routine. First, set a routine that's realistic for you. Mine I have shared with you, but follow it diligently so that you can get the results and get confidence in your ability to survive. This is my favorite slide because this is the reason why I wanted to even have this webinar for you and share my success. You see the base of this pyramid, of Mediterranean diet pyramid. It illustrates these lifestyle changes that I'm really promoting here for everyone listening, whether you're a caregiver or a Parkinsonian or the siblings or friends of them. You need to do this along with us so that we get encouragement from our support group. Every day, you need to be physically active. In the Mediterranean countries, they have this habit of going to the fresh market every day with the rolling carts and getting to talk to the farmers about what's the best crop that day, choosing the best vegetables, putting it in their carts, rolling it back, talking to a few neighbors along the way, and maybe exchanging some recipes. So that's why they are healthy, because they are physically active. This is why their culture does not really have too much obesity, because they are believing in moving around and going after their search for the best food and going after the best markets and bringing it home and enjoying it with the family, not as a TV dinner in front of the TV. Okay, the base of our pyramid food-wise consists of fresh fruits and vegetables, whole grains. Whether you are gluten sensitive or not, you can find whole grains to fit your diet. Olive oils, olives, beans, nuts and legumes, seeds, and of course the famous French herbs. They are wonderful for your taste buds, and they add so much color and flavor to the food. The next category up is your twice a week fish and seafood that's hopefully wild. There's a vast difference between the wild fish and seafood and the farm raised, and the difference is the toxic metals that they put in the pebbles that they throw, the pellets, I'm sorry, that they throw to the fish. So you need to be cognizant of that. If you pay a little bit more, you're getting really what you paid for. Try the wild fish instead of farm raised. And the next category up is poultry, eggs, cheese, and yogurt. I have a problem with the dairy, not me personally, but the research that I've done definitely points that the dairy is not very helpful for Parkinsonians because it causes the mucus to get thick, and we're going to get into that, and it's going to cause some choking hazard as well as swallowing problem. So we're going to allow eggs and chicken and poultry and pork are fine, but yogurt is the only exception in the dairy category that I allow. And on the very top of the pyramid, you see meats and sweets. I don't allow meats for reasons that I'll discuss in a second, but sweets, you see how little importance it has in the Mediterranean diet. It can be in the form of a bowl of fruit salad or some sorbet, but that's about it. On the left, you see the famous French wine, the red wine, which is specifically recommended for its antioxidant effect. So no white wine, but red wine, if you can tolerate it, is okay. And of course, every day you have to have water to keep your bowels moving. So as you see on the bottom of the slide, my protocol cuts out meat and dairy from the Mediterranean diet because it will have a counteracting effect. And we will slow down Parkinson if we follow this diet. Okay, let's dig down deeper into what it is that constitutes the beneficial part of this diet. Natural fiber-rich fruits and veggies, of course, to fight constipation with. women need 25 grams of fiber a day versus men need 35 grams. I think there's a size difference, obviously, between women and men. That's mostly what dictates this difference in fiber quality and quantity. High quality fats are olives and nuts and seeds and avocados, fish, and first press and cold press olive oil. And those would be the center of my diet. I always have either, by the way, nuts are difficult for us to chew on. So if you have a difficulty with the crunchiness and with the little pieces that might get stuck in your throat, you can easily substitute for nut butters. You can have sunflower seed butter or almond butter or cashew butter, whatever you like. Whole grains, the gluten-containing ones like bulgur, barley, and farro are abundantly used in the Mediterranean countries. But I recommend the gluten-free grains such as sorghum, buckwheat, oats, and quinoa. The plant-based proteins are wonderful for us. They contain the same amount of protein, give us all the same energy and the same muscle. Feed our muscles. Those are peas and garbanzo beans and legumes, and they all go into the good use. We go put them into good use of muscle building and energy producing. Avoiding red meat. Why do I say don't have any red meat? It's ironic that I'm broadcasting this from Texas, the cattle country, and I'm telling you not to have red meat. I'm not making too many friends, I know, in Texas, but you have to forgive me. I have to tell the truth, and that is that the red meat has been seen to compete with levodopa. And who wants that? You are going through the trouble of finding the medication that helps you with your symptoms. You don't want to counteract that with meat. Condensed protein in the red meat is not good for you because of the competition with levodopa, and it aggravates your motor symptoms such as tremors and dystonia, which is involuntary motor movement. Levodopa, in the contrary to having it with meat, works very well on a meat-free Mediterranean diet. Chicken and pork you are allowed to have once a week. Wild fish and seafood, fresh from the wild oceans, twice a week, 1 hour after your drug. Again, remember, your proteins are heavy, even though we're choosing chicken and pork that are less heavy than meat, but you need to wait still an hour before you have your drug. The antioxidant-rich foods such as dark chocolate, citrus, and red wine, and green vegetables are fantastic for us. Mediterranean dishes are flavorful with the nice fresh herb de Provence, which is from around the Mediterranean, and satisfying because they're nutrient rich and they use fresh foods as their number one ingredient instead of processed and canned. It involves, again, walking to the fresh markets, shopping for the food, walking back, cooking and dining. So there's a lot of lifestyle involved based on an active lifestyle, and therefore the compliance is extremely high. Omega-3 fish, anchovies and salmons and sardines and oysters and cod, all of those. And if you're not too keen on the animal sources or fish sources, you can go for flaxseed or chia seeds. All of these in the Mediterranean diet will feed your brain, lower your risk of cardiac disease, resist your depression, and vegetables help boost your good mood. Who doesn't like that? Who needs to have an antidepressant when you can have 5 servings of vegetables? The good news is that the vegetable benefits goes up the more you eat them. So don't buy the vegetables organic and put them in your fridge and don't touch them. You need to make food with them. You need to cook with them, make soups with them. Mung beans and vegetables make great soups and rich in protein. This Mediterranean diet also lowers your risk of hypertension, type 2 diabetes, and also puts you in a good mood. So now I want to talk about this slide, which is really a very busy slide, but it sums up a lot of benefits from this diet. So wait for a second and I will explain all of the dots here. This was the result actually of a study that was a longitudinal study by Dr. Lori Mishley from University of Bastyr in Washington State, who did a great job over the last 5 years, or I should say 2013 to 19, where people, over 1,500, 1,600 participants, would fill out a self-scoring survey about how they felt vis-a-vis what they ate. So they were scoring themselves. So this is an observational study, not a cause to effect study. So we're not saying those people who had canned fruits and vegetables felt poor quality of life. That is not true. But what we observed, or they observed, was that there was a correlation between what these participants ate and how they scored themselves in terms of quality of life. So the lower your score here on the 0 on the y-axis, the lower the score that the participants gave themselves, the higher the quality of life they felt. So you have to inverse that relationship. The lower the score, the higher the quality of life. So you see all the conglomeration of the dots here on the left bottom of your screen. That represents the very first 5 to 10 years of the diagnosis. These people, participants, had fish, nuts and seeds, fresh fruits, fresh veggies, olives, coconut oil, fresh herbs, and looked right next to that. That coincided or correlated with excellent or good quality life. Isn't that wonderful? You can only mimic these people's lifestyle and have more of these foods. You can slow down the progress of Parkinson's disease. That's the best news I've heard all day. And then inversely, the people who had canned fruits and veggies, above the gray line, you see beef, milk, yogurt, ice cream, pasta, chicken, soda, diet soda, frozen vegetables, and fried food. They had, unfortunately, they suffered a poor quality life. And these scientists actually reported that the participants had mentioned that they had more or more severe number of symptoms when they were having these foods. So not only they had less quality life, but they felt worse and more often than people who had better diet. So let's talk about the MIND diet. The MIND diet is a combination of 2 diets, the DASH diet and the Mediterranean diet. The M in the MIND diet stands for the Mediterranean, and the rest is intervention for neurodegenerative delay. The DASH diet has been in existence for a number of years, and it has been revolving around stopping hypertension. So people who are hypertensive are familiar with the DASH diet, which is based on cruciferous veggies and a lot of berries and so on and so forth. However, when you mix it up with the Mediterranean, you expand your choices. And now you have all of the veggies. I'm going to put this up for you to see. This is a good slide that summarizes the DASH diet. I'm going to go through it from clockwise from the top right. It recommends 4 to 5 servings per week of nuts, seeds, and legumes, which is great. I have that much almost every day. Next is less than 6 servings per day of lean meat, poultry, and fish. That I have a little modification to add, and that is no meat, but the poultry and fish you can do. Good luck having 6 servings of that a day. I certainly can't do that. But apparently the DASH followers are excited about that. The next one is 5 servings per week of sweets. Now, I don't know about you, but I don't think with 5 servings of sweets in such a general category, you're going to get to be healthy. Excuse me. So I would like to modify that section of the diet, and maybe we can all settle on 1 or 2 servings of sweets, and the sweets should be more like fresh fruits or fresh fruit sorbets and so on per week. Or a slice of homemade gluten-free banana bread that I have almost every day. 2 to 3 servings per day of fats and oils. Those can be had any day. 2 to 3 servings per day of fat-free and low-fat dairy. As I mentioned, I have a problem with dairy, but you can have a non-dairy type of milk, such as almond or rice or something else, coconut milk. The next one is 4 to 5 servings of fruit. That's easily done. 4 to 5 servings of veggies, easily done. 6 to 8 servings a day of whole grain. That one takes a little bit of planning. So you can maybe have a little bit of variety, such as pasta, breads, but mostly non-gluten containing. Okay, I'm hydrating, so I am practicing my preachings. The don'ts of Parkinson diet. Here is what I wanted to talk about, the reasoning behind no red meat. There are a multitude of studies that were done about this topic, but this particular one caught my eye. In Brazil in 2013, a great researcher studied 19 patients who all had PD, so Parkinsonian, who took 30 milligrams a day of riboflavin, which is B2 vitamin, and while they eliminated all red meat. Their motor capacity, guys, increased by 44% to 71% for the period of 6 to 9 months that they were on this diet. 44% to 71% increase in motor capacity. Do you all realize that with a simple elimination of red meat and increasing your grain vitamins such as B2, you can increase your motor capacity by almost 50 to 70%. That's mind-blowing. The next one that is a must, in my opinion, but you need to come to that realization on your own, is gluten. I know gluten is getting the bad rap these days because a lot of people think that the market is saturated with gluten-free products, but gluten, for people who have problems with arthritis or with Parkinson's or just joint stiffness in general or imbalance, they need to know that gluten is an inflammatory grain protein that is found in wheat, barley, and rye. And we're such a wheat-based society, everything that you touch has got some kind of a wheat. Wheat is found even in your chips or in your cereals or in your bags of dried snacks. They sprinkle some wheat flour in order to keep the snacks from sticking together. So there are so many hidden sources of gluten that even to the trained eye, such as myself, who has been doing this for 29 years, I still am not 100% gluten-free because I'm inevitably exposed to some form of gluten at the restaurants when, in the good old times when we used to go to the restaurant, the pre-coronavirus time. And we cannot be guaranteed that we are totally gluten-free. But we need to know that at least the visible sources of gluten need to be eliminated for us to feel disinflamed in the gut, to lower our small intestine inflammation and increase our absorption of good nutrients that we are putting in through the Mediterranean diet. Gluten also mimics the effects of morphine. And that's the reason why they say some children within the autism spectrum, and in my view, some adults as well within the Parkinson disease realm, we have an addictive type of behavior towards gluten. We cannot let go of our breads. And that is the reason, the scientific reason behind it. The gluten molecule mimics the molecular structure of morphine in the brain. So either avoid it or minimize it. And for those of you who are sitting on the fence, I have a simple stool test that you can do for $140 that would tell you if you have gluten sensitivity. Or you can go to your doctor and do a blood test. So once and for all, you know whether you are dealing with the real sensitivity or not. Dairy is a problem category for me because all the research, the literature review that I've done points to the fact that the dairy has some conflict within its molecular structure with the gut lining, and it prevents us from absorbing other nutrients. And also, it has been linked in this meta-analysis, which is a mini an analysis of a lot of different studies. They have shown a direct association between dietary intake of dairy and higher risk of Parkinson's disease. And they think that it's not because of the dairy itself, but rather a pesticide contaminant in the milk. Okay, dairy products, including milk, cheese, and cream and yogurt, they all thicken the mucus in your upper respiratory tract, and it makes the swallowing difficult. So in my protocol, I avoid dairy. The exceptions to this rule are Greek yogurt and unpasteurized cheese twice a week. Why is that? And that is because the Greek yogurt is fermented and it is more it's a little bit easier, let's say, to swallow. All right, keto diet. This is a diet that's very controversial, and I don't want to knock it completely because it has positive effects for epileptic patients. However, for Parkinson's disease patients, it is not a recommended diet. Why is that? First of all, in this diet, you need to eliminate almost all carbohydrates. You can have very little vegetables down the road, but at the get-go, you eliminate all carbs because you're basically, the premise of the diet is that you have to starve your cells to where they start kicking into ketosis. And ketosis is the process whereby you break down your fats and proteins, some proteins, but mostly fats, as a main source of calories and nutrients. Well, that's a very hard thing to do. I certainly have never been able to do it because I'm very much dependent on my carbohydrate, and nor do I recommend it to any of the Parkinson's friends of mine. And this is not just an opinion of mine. Dr. Lori Mishti, who I mentioned earlier out of Bastyr University, she also believed that in her line of work that this is not recommended for Parkinson's patients. This is a high fatty diet. It makes you feel full. Therefore, when you're full, you don't want to eat. And when you don't eat, your calorie consumption goes down and the risk of undernourishment goes up. So that's another reason why you must not follow this diet. And fatty foods, having it within 2 to 3 hours on either side before or after your meds can interfere with the drug absorption. In my case, it causes severe nausea. Again, this is 8-9 years of good detailed research in the area of Parkinson's diet, and I'm sharing the fruit of my labor. Do not consume fatty foods closer than 2 to 3 hours on either side of your medication. All right, iron. Iron is not recommended for people with Parkinson's disease. That's an observation that scientists have made. Men, especially men and non-menstruating women, should avoid iron because the menstruating women, of course, if they accumulate the iron, they can always count on their menstrual cycle to get rid of some of the excess. But the non-menstruating women and men should avoid iron because that can be accumulated in the liver and that can cause more toxic burden to the body. High risk of Parkinson's disease onset has been also associated with too much iron. I've listed a bunch more of these toxins on the bottom of this slide for your reference. Manganese in well waters, aluminum, MSG, monosodium glutamate, which is used as a preservative, natural flavors, artificial additive, coloring, and so on are not recommended, of course. All right, to wrap up, guys, the takeaway from today's presentation should be that we need to eat a meat-free, dairy-free Mediterranean diet daily in order to get the best results, which is slowing down the progress of Parkinson's. Remember, guys, there is no cure for our disease. So the best thing that we can do is to slow this beast down or arrest it completely and put it in jail. And you can do that by eating a Mediterranean diet. 3 to 5 servings of veggies a day, 2 to 3 servings of fresh fruits a day, eating 2 to 3 servings of nuts, seeds, olives, or olive oil a day, 2 to 3 servings of fish or seafood of the wild kind a day, and 2 to servings of pork, eggs, chicken a week. And last but not least, move your body, keep hydrating, walking, socializing, laughing, stretching, meditating, and dancing. Because after all, we have only one life to live, and you might as well make it the best life you have ever had. All right, guys, that's all I had to share. And Miss Tisha, if you don't mind, either you can read that or I can share it with the audience. Do you want me to read it?
If you want to, go right ahead.
Okay. For people who are wondering, well, where do I begin? What do you recommend? There are plenty of books out there in this world about Mediterranean diet. But what you want is a book that also picks up some nutritional tips and gives them to you to empower you so you can practice the good nutrition guidelines. I happen to have that book written about gluten-free diet in general, but it is based on a lot of the Mediterranean concepts. I have salad niçoise in there. I have many salads and many dishes, soups and broths and so on that are made based on the principles preached by the Mediterranean diet. This book is called Ready, Set, Eat. It's a gluten-free nutrition basics. It has 100+ recipes, and it talks about toxins and their effects on the body. And the best part of it is if you go on my website and purchase it, make sure for $30, I donate immediately $10 out of each sale to the DAPS support group, which has been such a crucial support group for me and my friends. These ladies that you see on the screen and Mr. Mike Miles have been instrumental in us finding the right therapies in town, and I 100% back this support group. They're caring, gentle, and extremely giving people. So here you go on glutenfreenutritionforlife.com, which is my website. You can click on the book and then you can go to the checkout, and that's about it. I hope you enjoyed it, and we're going to open it up for questions and answers. So Ms. Lisha, I'll turn it over to you, or Ms. Carey.
Great. Thank you, Faye, so much. Your expertise, this is so helpful, I think, for everyone. Even if you just take bits and pieces from what you gave us a lot to chew on.
Thank you.
I hope everybody got a good chuckle from my my sense of humor there. So thank you for letting us chew on that. A couple of things that we're doing here, as you guys see, there's a Q&A. So that gives you an option to type in your question. If you would prefer to ask that, if you'll use the raise hand, then I can actually go and unmute you and then ask you to to announce or share your question with Faye so that she can answer that. The other thing we're doing is we have a poll. Since this is our very first Zoom educational series that we have posted, we would love your feedback. And so we're going to send out a poll, and we'd love for you to be able to share what you think with us. So at this time, I'm going to open it up for questions and answers. So if you'll go ahead and use that, or if you'll use your raise hand, we'll go ahead and move forward with that. All right. Colette has a question. She has now Colette, I'm going to go ahead and unmute you so that you can participate in this conversation with Faye. You have the MTHFR gene. Have you any experience with this?
Yes. Yes, MTHFR stands for methyl tetrahydrofolate reductase, which in simple English is a mutation of an enzyme in your cells that does not allow you to convert folate, which is a type of B vitamin, into the usable methylated form of folate for good energy. And yes, I have extensive experience for the past 15 years. I have done this test at my office. It's a simple swab test. You run inside your cheek and we send it off, and within 5 days, very quick turnaround time, we can tell you if you have that mutation or you don't. And the people who do have the mutation, they need to have a reduced form of folate. So, but first you need to know, Colette, if you have that mutation. Don't just go based on guesses or how you feel. This is a science to itself. You need to have the genetic evidence in your hand before you change your vitamin plan. Did I answer your question? Colette, are you there? That's okay. I hope that you heard my answer.
Okay, let me move on here. Colette, I've now unmuted you. Did you have anything else you wanted to ask Faye? Okay, we'll go ahead and move on. Our other question is, can we get a copy of Faye's PowerPoint presentation? Yes, we are currently recording her presentation. It will be available on the DAPS website. That's daps.us. We will have a link there, and it will direct you to our YouTube channel, which is where you'll be able to access her entire presentation.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, we've also got a couple of folks who have raised their hands. So let me see who these folks who would like to participate. Okay, Bertha, you are now on. So if you would like to share your question.
Let me unmute Bertha, because I think I have to do that. All right, I just unmuted you, Bertha. Maybe there's a little delay. Oh, I lost Bertha. Bertha, can you hear me?
What do you suggest to reduce the tremors?
Okay, good question, Bertha. For me, what has worked wonderfully is deep breathing exercises that you do from your lower abdomen, and you can go online and just type in deep breathing exercises. But yoga breathing basically helps my tremors tremendously, as well as stretching. And diet-wise, I recommend a lot of avocados or coconut oil or fish and fish oil. Those things are tremendously helpful in controlling the intensity as well as the frequency of your tremors.
Okay.
But do them all together. If you do one and you don't see results, it doesn't mean that that didn't work, but you need to do it in combination with all the other things. So
deep breathing stretches, coconut oil.
Yes, and avocado and fish oil. And if you don't like fish, you can replace it with flaxseed meal or chia seed.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am. Good question.
Great question.
Yes.
Okay, we've got another hand raised. Carter Scott, did you have a question you wanted to share?
Okay, let me unmute Carter. Hold on, Carter. We're about to unmute you. Okay. Hang tight. I think there's a little delay.
Okay, we will come back there, and in case that's a question that comes back up.
No. Okay, sounds good, Lisha. Sorry.
Okay, do we have any other questions here? I see there are several questions about Faye's presentation, and again, just a reminder, we are recording her presentation, so it will be available by clicking on our link at the DAPS.us website, and so you'll be able to access all of that. We know that a lot of folks might have more specific questions for Faye regarding your personal ailments, or if you have some specific situations that you might have questions for, please feel free to email us at daps@daps.org, and that way we can pass that on to Faye so that she can get in contact with you and give you the ample time that you are looking for. I hope everybody has received the poll with the survey with some of our questions. So I'm going to go ahead and turn it back to Faye to see if there are any other additional comments that we need to continue with.
Yes, I wanted to end this presentation on an inspirational note. I believe, and that was implied in my presentation, but I didn't really stay on that point too long. But I believe also in positivity having played a huge role in my, if I may call it, recovery, but not full recovery, on the process of slowing down my Parkinson's disease progress. What do I mean by positivity? You know, we can all wallow in our sadness upon hearing that I had the diagnosis of early onset Parkinson's 9 years ago. I got home and it was like a 2x4 had hit me upside the head. It can't be that at 51 I'm having Parkinson's, and I had absolute no warning. However, when I look back, my father had Parkinson's, and I had the same type of lifestyle, extremely busy, running 2 offices, raising my 2 beautiful kids, having 10 different irons in the fire, writing a book, working on a second one. Well, that's a crazy lifestyle for anyone. So what I did was I picked myself up after about 5-10 days, and I decided that I was going to explore all the avenues, all the therapies that were possible to implement in my life in order to gain or restore at least part of my health as much as I could back. And so I started with physical therapy, which was the best thing that I did because it kept me moving. It kept me from feeling isolated and staying indoors and moping and feeling sorry for myself. And the next thing I did was I really dug down deep into the diet aspect, and I realized there was not much literature going on. So, but I started practicing, trying and erring and recording my daily log. And to this day, I always carry a little notebook in my purse, or if I'm at home, I have a notepad on which I write my food intake, as well as my symptoms, as well as my emotions that go along with that particular meal. Because as you know full well by now, if you have paid attention to the presentation, we do know now that some foods, and most of them are from the Mediterranean diet, they are associated with mood, emotions, and physicalities. So our bodies not only absorb the food to to turn into energy so our cells all function and they don't wilt away. But we also are feeding our emotional system, our nervous system, as well as our mood. So this is what I want to let you know, that the positivity, even though some days I feel like life could not be worse, I still pick myself up and I say it's a beautiful day. And the power of this self-internalization of the positive thinking helps me be more grateful, and always count my blessing that I'm still alive, that I'm above the dirt instead of 6 foot under, and that I'm still enjoying my life. I may be a little slower, I may have some annoying motor movement, but hey, I'm still alive, and I'm not anywhere close to joining in the next Ninja Warrior competition. But at the same time, I feel good about being able to play tennis with my kids or with my friends, taking a walk to the park, going on trips as far as even Europe and back, all by myself and managing my life.
Thank you, Faye. Those are great, great sentiments. We love your positive attitude. And you're right, perspective is such a huge part of our outlook, whatever our physical condition may be. So we appreciate your example and your expertise, and for taking the time to share that with us, because it really is a lot for us to digest, no pun intended, but it does give us a lot to think through and determine how we can implement some of your suggestions into our own daily life. The last final question I got was about your private practice. If you could just briefly tell us, do you accept Medicare, and are you located in Plano? And if you can just give us a little summary there, that would be great.
Sure, I would be happy to. Yes, I am in West Plano, and you can reach me through my website at glutenfreenutritionforlife.com. The phone number is there, and I do not accept Medicare, unfortunately, but we're in the process of negotiating with them, so we'll see where that goes. But I do use a sliding scale for my elderly patients. So because we are all on a limited budget in our retirement, so I do respect that, and you basically pay me what you can. And that's what it boils down to. And we will direct you in the right direction. So if you need just a diet design, menu planning, or testing, or an assessment, what have you, or a customized vitamin plan, we will try to find the best price point for your specific needs.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. We've got a huge response from people that are really interested in going back and either watching or sharing this with other people. So you've given us, it's just so much to think about. And again, we're so grateful just for your donation for anyone who might consider your book through your website, your Gluten-Free Nutrition for Life, which has some great recipes that I have tried myself. So we are thankful for that.
Great. And by the way, if you want to put in special instructions when you're checking out and buying the book, mention that you are a Parkinsonian who listened to my webinar. And that way I know immediately how to cut the checks to donate to the DAPS.
Thank you. Thank you, Faye. And thanks to each of you who took a risk and joined us via Zoom. Each time it will get better and smoother. So we appreciate everyone's patience and for participating. And we can't wait to see you again in person for real. Exactly. Take care.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Okay.
All right. Good job, Faye.
Good job.
Yay.
I'm so sorry at the beginning. I was just...
and we're still live if you want to shut.
Okay.